Back, a little twist throw, takes a vertical shot right there. Perfect throw. Perfect throw. I got to tell you something.
Because of what you're paying.
Yeah, it's a great question. I know that can be a common narrative in professional sports, but you're 100% right that it doesn't matter what they're paid when they're...
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
There's something happening in Cleveland right now that the mainstream football media has been working overtime to keep you from seeing clearly. And I'm not talking about a rumor. I'm not talking about a leak. I am talking about documented, filmed, on-camera evidence that contradicts everything the talking heads have been selling you for the last several months about Shedeur Sanders and this quarterback competition with the Cleveland Browns. The story they have been pushing is simple and it is ruthless. Deshaun Watson got paid an enormous guaranteed contract, and because of that money, it does not matter what a rookie quarterback does on the practice field. The financial commitment overrides the performance. The contract wins the job. That has been the narrative. That has been the machine grinding away every single week since Shedeur Sanders was drafted. And today, that machine just got hit by a freight train named Andrew Berry. Day 15 of Cleveland Browns training camp just wrapped. The reporters on the ground, the ones watching every single rep with their own eyes, are not just saying Shedeur looked good. They are calling his throws perfect. And the general manager of this franchise just sat in front of a camera and said 4 words that should end this entire conversation. The contract does not matter. Drop a fire emoji right now if you knew this was coming. Let Gridiron Ground know you were...
It's a performance-based, decision. The contract, does not matter. We're pleased with both guys. I think they both had a nice preseason and they did some...
Looking back, a little twist throw, takes a vertical shot right there. Perfect throw. Perfect throw. I got to tell you something.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
Before we get into exactly what Andrew Berry said, and trust me, when you hear it in his own words, the weight of it is going to hit you differently. You need to understand the full picture of what Day 15 of Browns training camp actually looked like. Because the reporters on the ground were not writing soft, flattering practice notes. They were stunned. Todd Monken, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, has already confirmed the preseason game plan for the matchup against the Buffalo Bills. Shedeur Sanders handles the first half. Deshaun Watson takes the third quarter. Dillon Gabriel closes out the fourth. That is the structure. That is the order that the head coach himself laid out publicly. And you need to sit with that for a moment, because head coaches do not volunteer that kind of information carelessly. When a head coach tells the world that his rookie quarterback is taking the field first against a legitimate AFC contender, that is not a scheduling coincidence. That is a declaration. Now here is why that matters beyond the surface level. The Buffalo Bills are not a preseason punching bag. They are a team with legitimate playoff aspirations, a defense that knows how to create pressure, and a roster that is not going to hand a young quarterback anything. Putting Shedeur Sanders in the first half of that game, against that opponent, with the cameras rolling and the entire league watching, is the kind of statement that organizational confidence is built on. Monken is not protecting his rookie. He is unleashing him. And the practice field evidence backs that decision up completely. What the reporters witnessed on Day 15 was not a quarterback managing a system. It was a quarterback operating within one. There is a fundamental difference between those two things, and every serious football mind understands it. A quarterback who is managing a system is reactive. He is working within limitations, playing not to make mistakes, keeping the offense functional but conservative. A quarterback who is operating within a system is something else entirely. He is anticipating, he is creating, he is making the defense pay for every choice they make before the snap even happens. That is what the reporters on the ground described when they talked about Shedeur Sanders on Day 15. And this is a channel that documents the receipts, so we are not going to let that description float by without breaking down exactly what it means. Gridiron Ground has been covering this story for weeks, and the pattern we have been tracking is now showing up in real time on that practice field in Cleveland. If you are new here, welcome to the channel that actually does the work. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what is coming in the next section is the specific breakdown of the throw that has the entire Browns camp buzzing. And once you see it laid out in detail, you are going to understand why the doubters have gone unusually quiet this week. The preseason plan is set. The head coach has spoken. The rookie is in the first half slot against one of the best teams in the AFC. That is where we are on day 15. And the practice field performance that earned that slot is something the narrative machine has been struggling to explain away since the reports started coming in. So let us get into exactly what happened, throw by throw, read by read, because the details are what the mainstream coverage keeps skipping over, and the details are where the real story lives. Let us talk about the throw, because if there is one moment from day 15 of Browns training camp that crystallizes everything happening with Shedeur Sanders right now, it is the connection he made with Jerry Jeudy on a crossing route that had the reporters on the ground reaching for language that they do not use lightly. Here is the setup. Shedeur Sanders lines up in the shotgun. Denzel Boston is matched up against Denzel Ward on the outside, which is already a fascinating chess match on its own. The offense comes out in a trips formation to the left. The defense responds with a blitz, but it is not a straightforward blitz. It is a twist. A linebacker is incorporated into the twist, which means the pressure is coming from an unexpected angle and the red window is compressed significantly. This is exactly the kind of pre-snap puzzle that separates quarterbacks who belong at this level from quarterbacks who are still figuring out whether they do. Shedeur reads it. He does not flinch. He does not check down to the safe option underneath. He identifies the coverage, processes the blitz design, locates his target downfield, and launches a ball 30 yards in the air that lands stride for stride on his receiver. The defense was, according to the reporters watching it live, going absolutely nuts. They knew what just happened. You can feel those moments on a practice field. The offense celebrates, but more tellingly, the defense reacts. And when a defense that is competing for jobs reacts to a quarterback throw the way the Browns' defense reacted on day 15, that tells you something that statistics cannot fully capture. The reporters called it a perfect throw. Not a good throw. Not an impressive throw for a rookie. A perfect throw. And these are not people sitting in a studio speculating about what Shedeur Sanders might eventually become. These are credentialed journalists who watch NFL quarterbacks practice every single day of training camp, who have seen thousands of throws at this level, and who chose the word perfect to describe what they witnessed. But the performance did not stop at that one throw, and this is where the mainstream coverage keeps failing the viewer by reducing the story to a single highlight. Shedeur Sanders also connected with tight end Blake Whiteheart on a critical third down conversion, drifting back in the pocket, creating his own throwing lane, and delivering the ball on time to move the sticks. He hit Dylan Sampson on a flat route for a red zone touchdown. He connected with Harold Fanning on a corner route in the back of the end zone, getting outside the pocket and demonstrating the mobility that the skeptics have been insisting he does not possess. Read the full picture of that practice session, and what you see is not a quarterback having a good day. What you see is a quarterback with command. Command of the offense, command of the pre-snap read, command of his own instincts under pressure. Those are three separate things.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
And a quarterback who has all three operating simultaneously at day 15 of training camp is a quarterback who is ready for something bigger than practice. And here is the detail that deserves its own spotlight. Todd Monken is not running a stripped-down, conservative playbook for Shedeur Sanders to operate within. He is letting him take shots. He is calling option plays. He is installing new packages. He is running trips formations and giving his quarterback the creative latitude to make decisions in real time rather than just execute predetermined reads. That is what a head coach does when he trusts what he has. He does not hide it. He puts it on display and dares the competition to stop it. Now let us talk about the weapons, because this is the missing context that changes the entire framing of this story, and the establishment has been conveniently leaving it out of every hot take and every financial conspiracy theory they have been pushing for months. Last year when Shedeur Sanders faced the Buffalo Bills, he went 20 of 29, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks. And I understand exactly what the reaction to those numbers is from the people who have not been paying attention to the full picture. Those numbers are not elite. 2 interceptions against a playoff team, 2 sacks, incomplete yards totals. That is the surface reading, and the narrative machine ran with it hard. Here is what they left out. He did that without legitimate wide receiver talent. The receivers he was throwing to were practice squad level players, the kind of guys who are fighting to make a 53-man roster, not the kind of guys who are creating separation against NFL cornerbacks. The offensive line was not a finished product. The preparation under the previous coaching staff was compromised, and this is a point that has been documented in detail on this channel because the footage exists. He was not receiving first-team reps consistently before that game. The setup was not designed for success. The results, given the actual conditions, were more impressive than the final line suggests. This year is different in a way that is not subtle or debatable. The Cleveland Browns made 2 wide receiver selections in the first round of the NFL draft. 2 first-round wide receivers in a single draft class. That is an organizational statement that goes beyond roster construction. That is a franchise telling its quarterback, in the loudest possible language available to a front office, that they are building this offense around him. You do not spend 2 first-round picks on wide receivers for a quarterback competition you have already decided. You spend 2 first-round picks on wide receivers because you believe in the quarterback who is going to throw them the ball. Denzel Boston is a legitimate playmaker with the athletic profile to create problems for defensive backs at every level of the field. Jerry Jeudy, already established as a genuine NFL contributor, brings route-running precision and reliability that Shedeur has never had available to him at this level before. Dylan Sampson and Quentin Jukins are legitimate weapons out of the backfield with pass-catching ability that gives the offense horizontal stress capability. The tight end room has been upgraded. The offensive line has been rebuilt with intention. And the man calling the plays, Todd Monken, is not the kind of offensive coordinator turned head coach who gets conservative when the talent is there to be aggressive. He is letting Shedeur cook. That is the phrase the reporters on the ground used, and it is the right one. When a play caller with Monken's background gives his quarterback the freedom to operate within a full expansive playbook at day 15 of training camp, that is not an accident. That is a deliberate, considered decision made by someone who likes what he sees when he watches this quarterback work. 3 weeks ago on Gridiron Ground, we told you exactly this was coming. We told you the weapons were going to be the difference, that the organizational commitment was going to show up in the depth chart, and the draft capital, and the play-calling philosophy. Look at where we are on day 15. The receipts from that earlier video are sitting in the comments right now for anyone who wants to go verify the timeline. We do not deal in hindsight on this channel. We put the predictions on the record and let the results speak. Comment right now with one word. Starter. That is all. If you think Shedeur Sanders earns that job on pure performance, drop it in the comments. One word. Let Gridiron Ground see where the audience stands before we get to what the general manager just said on camera, because that is where this story takes a turn that nobody on mainstream television is giving you in full. Andrew Berry sat in front of a camera and answered a direct question. A reporter walked up and asked the general manager of the Cleveland Browns whether there was institutional pressure to start Deshaun Watson based on the size of his guaranteed contract. And Barry did not hedge. He did not pivot to talking points. He did not give a non-answer designed to satisfy everyone and commit to nothing. He answered the question directly, clearly, and with a specificity that should have been the headline on every NFL outlet in the country. He said the contract does not matter. He said performance and production drive the decision. He said it with cameras rolling on the record, after watching both quarterbacks compete through 15 days of training camp and a preseason game. That is the general manager of the franchise. That is the man with the authority to make roster decisions, to sign players, to cut players, to override anyone below him in the organizational structure if he believes the situation demands it. And he looked into a camera and told you that Deshaun Watson's $230 million guaranteed contract carries zero weight in the quarterback competition. Zero. Now here is what makes Barry's response even more significant than the surface statement. And this is the layer that almost every outlet covering the story missed entirely, because they were too busy running their predetermined financial narrative to actually listen to what the general manager said. Barry used a specific historical reference to illustrate his point. He brought up James Harrison, a player who was undrafted, overlooked, underpaid, and who went on to become one of the most dominant defensive players of his generation. Barry's point was surgical. If NFL teams operated by playing the salary rather than the performance, James Harrison never has a career. Players like Harrison exist precisely because performance-based decision-making is not just a...
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
Philosophy that organizations claim to believe in. It is the mechanism that produces winning football teams. That is not a vague, feel-good statement about meritocracy. That is a direct, explicit, historically grounded rejection of the argument that Watson's contract guarantees him anything in this competition. The people who have been pushing that story for months just watched the general manager of the franchise dismantle their central premise using documented NFL history. That is not a rebuttal. That is a demolition. And yet, and this is the part that should genuinely frustrate every person watching this video, the outlets that have been amplifying the Watson money narrative have not led with Barry's comments the way the weight of those comments demands. They have not treated his statement as the definitive answer to the question they have been asking for months. They have continued to frame the story around financial speculation, while the general manager of the team is on camera telling them directly that the financial speculation is irrelevant to how this decision gets made. That is not journalism. That is agenda. And when a media apparatus chooses to amplify a narrative after the primary source has publicly contradicted it, that is not an oversight. That is a choice. They are choosing the story they want to tell over the story that the evidence supports, and they are doing it at the direct expense of a young quarterback who has done nothing on a football field to deserve that treatment. Barry said it, with cameras rolling. Performance and production. The contract does not matter. That is the receipt. That is the tape. And Gridiron Ground is running it in full because nobody else will give it to you straight. Let me walk you through the 4 layers of this story that the establishment has either been ignoring or actively burying. Because understanding all 4 of them together is what makes the full picture visible in a way that no single clip or single press conference quote can do on its own. Layer 1 is the tactical failure of the narrative itself. The core argument from the doubters has always rested on a single structural assumption, that the Browns paid Watson an enormous guaranteed sum, and that no general manager in NFL history would bench a player carrying that kind of financial commitment, regardless of what a cheaper alternative showed on the field. It sounds logical on the surface. Financial commitments create organizational inertia. That is a real phenomenon in professional sports. But Andrew Barry just told you, using the James Harrison example as his proof of concept, that this organization does not operate that way. He did not say it reluctantly or under pressure. He said it directly and with historical backing. The argument that Watson's money guarantees him the starting job is not just weakened by Berry's comments. It is structurally demolished. The foundation it was built on has been removed. You cannot make the same argument with the same confidence after the general manager of the team has publicly contradicted it using documented evidence. Layer 2 is the pattern of narrative construction that this channel has been tracking since Shedeur Sanders was drafted. When he was selected, the story was that Deshaun Sanders' influence had inflated his son's draft stock beyond what his actual ability warranted. When he started performing in training camp, the story shifted to Watson's contract making the competition meaningless. When practice reports started coming back genuinely positive, when the reporters on the ground started using the word perfect to describe his throws, the story shifted again. Now it is only training camp, sample size too small, wait until the regular season. 3 different narratives, 3 different attempts to minimize the same quarterback. 3 times the evidence on the field contradicted the story being told. 3 times the establishment moved the goalposts rather than acknowledge what was directly in front of them. That is not analysis adjusting to new information. That is an agenda defending itself from new information. There is a meaningful difference, and the pattern makes it unmistakable. Layer 3 is what this channel has been calling enabler complicity. And this is the element that is most frustrating to document because it involves people who have access to the truth and choose a different story anyway. The reporters who are in that Browns facility every single day, who are sitting in those press conferences, who are hearing Andrew Berry make these statements in real time, are choosing to frame their coverage around financial speculation rather than the performance evidence that is accumulating in front of them. When Shedeur went 20 of 29 last year against Buffalo without adequate preparation or weapons, the coverage focused on the 2 picks. When he connects on a perfect deep shot against a live blitz at day 15, the coverage reaches for the contract story. Every outlet that has made that choice has been complicit in suppressing the actual story of what is happening in Cleveland. Layer 4 is the concrete cost to Shedeur Sanders himself, and this is the element that gets lost when the conversation stays abstract. The narrative has cost him the baseline benefit of the doubt that every other first-round quarterback in this league receives as a default. It has cost him the fair evaluation that his performance should have been generating from the moment he arrived. He has had to perform not just at the level of a starting quarterback, but at the level of a starting quarterback while simultaneously overcoming a narrative machine that was designed from the beginning to make his accomplishments look smaller than they are. That is an unfair burden. And through all of it, day after day, practice after practice, he keeps delivering. Let us go back to the Buffalo Bills matchup from last year, because this is the context that reframes the entire conversation about where Shedeur Sanders is right now versus where the doubters claimed he would be. 20 of 29, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks. That was the final line, and the narrative machine ran with the negative elements of it immediately. 2 picks against a playoff team. Not enough yards, not enough explosive plays. The completion percentage looks acceptable until you factor in the degree of difficulty, and then even that starts to get picked apart. But here is what the final line does not tell you, and what every mainstream outlet covering this story has been systematically leaving out. That performance happened without any legitimate receiving talent on the field around him. The receivers he was targeting were players fighting to stay on a 53-man roster, not players capable of consistently creating separation against NFL-caliber defensive backs. That performance happened without consistent first-team preparation under the previous coaching staff, which is a detail that matters enormously when you are evaluating a quarterback's readiness to execute at a high level in live game situations. That performance happened within a system that was not designed to maximize what Shedeur Sanders does well, in a scheme that was not built around his strengths, under a staff that was not fully committed to his development as the long-term answer at the position.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
Given those actual conditions, 20 of 29 against the Buffalo Bills is not a disappointing performance. It is an indicator. It is the kind of performance that tells a competent evaluator that the tools are real and that the results will follow when the environment matches the talent. And the environment in Cleveland right now looks nothing like it did 12 months ago. 2 first-round wide receivers, an upgraded tight end room, a rebuilt offensive line, a head coach and play caller in Todd Monken who is not calling a conservative handcuffed offense designed to protect a young quarterback from his own mistakes. He is calling a full, expansive, aggressive offense and letting Shedeur operate within it with real creative latitude. The structure has changed completely, and the practice field results are reflecting that change in real time. Now put those 2 pictures side by side. Last year, Shedeur Sanders goes 20 of 29 against Buffalo without adequate weapons, without first-team preparation, without a coaching staff fully invested in his development. And he still completes nearly 70% of his attempts against a legitimate playoff defense. This year he arrives with genuine weapons, a rebuilt line, a committed coaching staff, a general manager who has confirmed on camera that the competition is performance-based, and he is connecting on perfect deep balls against live blitzes in training camp, while the reporters on the ground struggle to find the right superlatives. What does a reasonable person conclude from that comparison? What does an honest evaluator conclude when they place those 2 pictures next to each other and look at the trajectory they represent? The answer is obvious to anyone who is evaluating the evidence rather than defending a narrative. Shedeur Sanders is better equipped, better supported, and better positioned to perform in year 2 than he was in year 1. And year 1, under compromised conditions, produced results that were more impressive than the negative framing around them suggested. The Bills game is coming. Save this section of the video. Come back after that preseason matchup and tell Gridiron Ground whether this read was right. We put these assessments on the record because that is how you build credibility. And our record on Shedeur Sanders has been consistent from the beginning. Here is the pattern that this channel has been documenting for months, and that the mainstream football media absolutely does not want to talk about directly. Because talking about it directly means acknowledging the role they have played in shaping public perception around a young quarterback who has given them very little legitimate reason for the negativity they have generated. The cycle works like this. Shedeur Sanders produces evidence. The evidence is positive. The narrative machine identifies the next available external factor and constructs a new story around that factor rather than acknowledging what the evidence shows. The new story gets amplified across platforms. The positive evidence gets buried under the new framing. Shedeur Sanders produces more evidence. Repeat. When he was drafted, the external factor was his father. Deshaun Sanders is a celebrity. His son was only selected because of the name. The draft stock was inflated by association rather than earned by performance. That was the story, and it ran hard across every football outlet for weeks. Then Shedeur started performing in training camp. The father narrative lost its structural integrity because you cannot credibly argue that nepotism explains good football when the good football is happening in front of credentialed reporters on a daily basis. So the machine found the next available external factor. Watson's contract. The money guarantees the outcome regardless of what the rookie does on the field. The financial commitment overrides the performance evidence. That became the story. Then the practice reports started coming back positive. Then the reporters on the ground started using language like perfect to describe what they were watching. Then, the preseason game slot confirmed that Monken was putting Shedeur in position to compete against genuine opposition. The contract narrative started losing its structural integrity because Andrew Berry was sitting in press conferences confirming that performance drives the decision. So now watch for the next pivot. The machine is already preparing it. It will be some version of preseason does not translate to regular season performance, or the sample size argument, or the notion that Buffalo was not fully committed defensively. The goalposts are going to move again. They have moved twice already, and this channel has documented both movements in real time. The third movement is coming, and when it does, we will document that one too, because the pattern is the story. The individual narratives are not the story. The repeatable, documented cycle of minimization is the story, and it has been running on Shedeur Sanders since the day he was selected. Now here is what makes this particular moment in the cycle different from the previous two iterations. Andrew Berry has now gone on camera and removed the central pillar of the most recent narrative. The contract does not matter. Performance and production drive the decision. When the primary source publicly demolishes the premise your narrative is built on, you do not have a story anymore. You have an agenda. And an agenda dressed up as analysis is something that audiences eventually learn to recognize, especially when a channel like Gridiron Ground has been laying out the receipts week by week for anyone paying attention. The subscribers on this channel have been watching this pattern unfold in real time. The comments on our earlier videos have the timestamps. The predictions are documented. If you have been here from the beginning of this coverage, you know exactly what we said was coming, and you have been watching it arrive on schedule. That is what separates this channel from the outlets running the financial speculation angle. We follow the evidence, and we put our assessments on the record before the results arrive. Gridiron Ground does not do hindsight analysis. We do the work in advance and let the tape be the judge. If you have not subscribed yet, do it right now. Not because we are asking you to, but because the preseason game against Buffalo is coming, and you are going to want to be here when we break down every single Shedeur Sanders rep in real time the moment that film drops. The next few weeks are going to be significant, and you do not want to find that breakdown in your feed 3 days late. 5 predictions, on the record, right now. Save this video, screenshot this section, write down the timestamp, and come back after the preseason game against Buffalo to tell Gridiron Ground whether we were right or whether you need to.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
Come roast us in the comments. We can take it. Prediction 1. The Watson money narrative is structurally finished by the end of the preseason. If any outlet is still running the financial pressure story as a legitimate reason to doubt Shedeur Sanders after the Buffalo preseason game, after 15 days of documented training camp performance, after Andrew Berry sat in front of a camera and told you directly that the contract carries zero weight in the competition, then that outlet is not doing journalism. They are running a story they are emotionally committed to regardless of what the evidence shows. Berry demolished the premise. Monken confirmed the playing time structure. The reporters on the ground used the word perfect. The money narrative has no structural legs remaining. It ends this preseason. Prediction 2. Shedeur Sanders makes enough plays against the Buffalo Bills in the preseason to shift the pressure back onto the doubters. We are not projecting 300 yards and 4 touchdowns because we do not know the exact snap count, and we are being precise rather than hyperbolic. What we are projecting is a performance compelling enough that the burden of proof flips. Last year he went 20 of 29 against this same defense without the weapons, without the preparation, without the coaching investment. This year everything around him is better. Better receivers, better line, better play calling, better organizational commitment. The conditions that were missing in year 1 are present in year 2. Watch what happens when a quarterback with the tools Shedeur possesses gets the environment those tools require. Prediction 3. The moment the preseason performance lands, the narrative machine pivots immediately. It will not be Shedeur played well and the competition is real. It will be the Bills were not starting their starters, or the preseason does not count, or the corners were not in coverage mode, or some version of the sample size argument designed to prevent the positive evidence from registering with the audience. This channel has documented 2 previous iterations of this pattern. The third one is coming. We are putting it on the record before it happens so that when it arrives you can look at this timestamp and know that we saw it coming because the pattern is that consistent and that predictable. Prediction 4. Andrew Berry's on-camera statement becomes the definitive reference point for every serious journalist covering this story going forward. The clip where he explicitly states the contract does not matter and that performance and production drive the decision is going to be cited, replayed, and referenced every single time someone tries to resurrect the Watson money angle. The reporters who chose financial speculation over performance evidence, while Berry was saying these things in press conferences, are going to have to reckon publicly with the fact that the general manager contradicted their framing directly. That reckoning is coming in the next 2 weeks of coverage. Watch the Cleveland beat reporters specifically. Watch how they handle the reconciliation between what they have been writing and what Berry just said with cameras rolling. Prediction 5. The Cleveland Browns season outcome hinges entirely on whether the organization honors the commitment Berry made on camera. If the competition is genuinely performance-based, if Monken is allowed to make his decision based purely on what the field shows him, then Cleveland is a legitimate dark horse in the AFC. The weapons are real. The play caller is proven. The philosophy has been confirmed by the general manager. An organization that aligns those elements and makes decisions with integrity is an organization capable of making noise in January. If the narrative machine finds a mechanism to override the performance evidence, if the decision gets made for any reason other than what happens between the lines, then Cleveland wastes another season, and Shedeur Sanders becomes the most documented cautionary tale about organizational dysfunction that recent NFL history has produced. There is no middle outcome. The season ends one of those 2 ways, and the choice belongs entirely to the people inside that building. Right now at day 15 of training camp, a young quarterback is out on that practice field reading live blitzes, stepping into pressure, and putting perfect throws 30 yards downfield stride for stride. That is what the doubters said could not happen. That is what the narrative machine said would never matter. And that is exactly what is happening in Cleveland every single day. Here is where we land. Andrew Berry said it. Todd Monken confirmed it through the depth chart. The reporters on the ground said it with their own words under no obligation to be complimentary. Performance and production drive this decision. The contract does not matter. Shedeur Sanders arrived in Cleveland carrying a narrative that was designed to minimize him before he ever took a snap. The nepotism story, the contract story, the shifting goalposts every time the evidence contradicted the preferred take. And through every iteration of that cycle, he kept showing up on that practice field and delivering exactly what a starting quarterback delivers when the environment gives him the tools to operate. The preseason game against Buffalo is the next data point. Everything we have laid out in this video, the perfect throws, the organizational commitment, the general manager's on-camera confirmation, the weapons, the play caller, all of it sets the table for a performance that should permanently change the conversation around this quarterback. But here is the thing that nobody on television is saying out loud. Even if Shedeur Sanders delivers everything we are projecting against Buffalo, the machine is going to look for the next angle. The pattern does not stop until the evidence becomes undeniable even to the people committed to a different story. We are not at that moment yet, but day 15 says we are closer than the doubters want to admit. Drop your honest take in the comments right now. One side. Pick it. Is Shedeur Sanders the legitimate starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, earned on pure performance? Or does the Watson contract still shadow this competition regardless of what Barry said on camera? This is Gridiron Ground. We will see you when the film drops.
Because of what you're paying.
Yeah, that's a great question. I know that can be a common narrative in professional sports, but you're 100% right that it doesn't matter what they're paid when it's a performance-based, decision. The contract, does not matter. We're pleased with both guys. I think they both had a nice preseason and they did